Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030 is fairly unique, and it's something that, when I was in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, was extremely interesting to look at and notice just about everything that was going on. If you stay until the end of the video, you will know exactly how Vision 2030 is going to change Saudi Arabia and how realistically a lot of the headline news is false. Hello and welcome back to Untold Report. Today we're going over Saudi Arabia and how Vision 2030 has been impacting the economy and demography of Saudi Arabia. Now, I was recently in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, doing a layover to get to Islamabad, Pakistan, which of course I will be doing a video about the partnership between specifically Saudi Arabia and Pakistan. However, if you're interested in that video, feel free to subscribe. We do a lot of in-depth breakdowns between international ideation. However, when I see all of the things that are going down in Saudi Arabia on the internet, it doesn't get to the crux of what is actually happening. And because of my video corrupting, I cannot speak from it in Saudi Arabia. The noise was overpowering by the fountain, which I digress. I have the video here now.
Bruh.
However, what you see within Saudi Arabia, especially when you fly in to King Khalid International Airport, is a very unique situation. And the airport is a great place to understand and know about Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, as it shows where the country is headed. Oftentimes, when I hear about Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, it is that they're buying sports teams or they're buying developmental, mega projects. However, what is more visible within the airport, and what is more visible speaking to Saudis, speaking to the people in Saudi Arabia, is that they are trying to build out all infrastructure, not just the mega projects like NEOM, but the airline infrastructure, the places in which you can eat, you can have a drink in the airport. When I was in the airport, it was very clear that yes, it was neutral as well, but that neutrality definitely favored Western investment. When I saw the businesses that were large scale, that had a lot of people, it was often Relay, which is Western. It was Caffè Nero, which is Western. It was Burger King, which is Western. And so there's a very high amount of Western companies in Saudi Arabia. And it seems to me as if Saudi Arabia is moving towards Western investments. Now, of course, they do have neutrality in tourism, for instance, where I saw a lot of Chinese business tourists. I additionally definitely saw a ton of Pakistanis, I saw a ton of Indians, I saw a ton of Filipinos, and especially Filipinos were the workers, which realistically, with the system of work that is seen in Saudi Arabia, makes sense. However, that says Vision 2030 is a developmental mega project, I would say, in the same light that NEOM is a mega project. they are looking to overhaul not just the country, but the infrastructure that ties the country together. And I think that they're making very good headway. And as someone whose father, when he was working within the Middle East, and I can't get too deep into what he did or who he is. However, my father visited the Middle East in 2014. It was a very different place in 2014. And looking at the modernity that you can see today, it's very interesting to me looking at how it operates. And of course, when I spend time looking at all of these things, I realize that, of course, it is becoming an extremely interesting place to visit. There is more things to do now that, of course, it is more open. However, it is also still very Islamic oriented. That's not to say that, of course, if you're not a Muslim, you have issues visiting. Personally, I don't find there to be 100% activity oriented in the airport. It's not Dubai, but it's not really trying to be Dubai. From what I see, it's trying to be a business destination, which Dubai is trying to be everything all at once. But from what I've seen out of Saudi Arabia, out of Riyadh, out of Mohammed bin Salman's words, right? It hasn't been that of a modernity in all regards. It has been selective modernity to open up to international investments, to open up to a increase in access to global capital, to increase their domestic capital depth in terms of loans, in terms of just about everything. And this overall creates a very interesting dynamic where you get an increase in the amount of potential that the country has. And of course, if you are looking to move to a country like Saudi Arabia, if you're looking to invest or whatever else, look in the description down below for the jurisdictional one-pager, and that is a step that you can take to move your life abroad. If you like this video, feel free to like it. If you really like this video, feel free to share it with your friends. If you are looking for a way to join me on this journey of internationalization and globalization, feel free to subscribe. This has been the Training Report, signing off.